Welcome to the Ambient iPad. In this video, I'm going to do a demonstration of RealPhase, a phaser app from Quantovox. Full disclosure, Quantovox provided me with this app for free. We were having a discussion on the Audiobus forum about phaser pedals, and they reached out and see if I wanted to try this out. What I didn't realize is that Quantovox is the company that makes Spatializer, which I use all the time. I did not realize they used a phaser app. They tied no expectations to this. They don't expect a video. They don't expect anything from that. They just wanted to get my opinion. Long and short of it is, this is a very, very good phaser. Reminds me a lot of a rack mount phaser, even though that's not what it's modeled after. And it gets really, really deep. Completely honest, more deep than I would ever need it. But I'll go through as much as I can. There's actually an online a quick start guide where you can kind of go through and get a little bit of a flavor for what some of the automation does and what some of the other capabilities are. I mean, as you can see here, it has a lot of the classic knobs that you would see with a phaser, a little more explicit with the sweep of the wave, whether the low, how low the wave goes, how high it goes. Obviously the speed, you can feedback the sound into itself. On pedals, a lot of time, that's the color or regeneration. There's a lot of different stereo modes here too. You have your kind of classic left-right, which you can use with mono sounds or stereo sounds. This is a stereo sound, and I'm running this within GarageBand. And you can also kind of do MS, kind of the middle and the side. That doesn't really work with mono sounds. You need a stereo sound for that. And then you can control the balance of you actually have two levels of mix, kind of an overall mix, and then more of a, I don't know if they're not redundant. And I will kind of start turning knobs to show you how these work. All right, and getting kind of way more talking here, let's get right into the sound. So I have two sounds going here. I've pre-recorded a Mellotron line and a bass line, both with no effects whatsoever. RealPhase is the only phaser going, other than a little bit of GarageBand compression to even out the sounds. Let's start with the Mellotron. And actually, let me turn this off so you can hear the clean sound. And let's turn it back on, go into it. So this is a patch I've created called Slow Phase for the Mellotron. There's a lot of preset sounds on here that are kind of give you a lot of different examples of what this phaser is capable of. When it comes to modulation, phaser is kind of my favorite, so it's nice to have a lot of different features. All right, let me go back to the sound I've got here. So we're moving over to strings now. And I'm just going to kind of start moving the knobs and explaining things as we go along here. Right now, there's only one model, one algorithm, so to speak. If you can tell by that graphic, it's based on the Small Stone phaser from Electro Harmonics. There's no other models in here, and these don't do anything. I'm not sure if they're planning on adding any more. That would be nice. I'll just come right out and say the biggest con about this app is the price. I believe, at least at the time of this video, it's $14.99, which is a little expensive. I think if it had more of the models in here and maybe even some other modulation types, but I'll get more into that. I don't want the price to be a barrier for anyone, because the sound and the capabilities are really, really nice here. So I'm just going to start, even though it has one model, you can kind of change the modulation types. You can hear how that's changing the sound a little. It's really just changing the way that sweep sounds, following the wave. And you get this little graphical representation over there on the right side. Okay, and it's slow, so that's why. So if you turn up the speed, you can kind of hear the difference a little more dramatically. There is a online manual that goes way deeper than that screen one I showed you. I've got a link for that in the description. We'll explain in greater detail all the controls, way more than I can. Okay, let's go back to the beginning here. Let's turn the speed down. And besides kind of your typical rate, you can do it by note, durations. That's interesting. It'll snap back to what you have the rate set at. That's pretty cool. This little M switch is for the range modulation. This is kind of an automated. I will be completely honest, I've been trying to use some of these more advanced features and they're tough. It's tough. It's definitely a deep phaser. The good news is you don't really even have to go over on this side. Just have your little waves going here. You can see the different left and right. Let's get the speed up a little and we got your feedback. So you can really hear that regeneration. Let's jack the mix up all the way. Got 2 levels of mix here. Usually just keep that on 50. This goes real deep on the stereo mode as well. Right now, because it's a stereo sound, you can use the MS, the mid and the side, or just kind of the traditional left to right. Now the sound changes. The mid side will only work with a stereo sound. If you've got a mono sound, just go down to the left to right. And you can play with the phase stereo, the offset. So you can hear there's just a lot you can do with this. Do you need all these controls? You have to decide that for yourself. I don't really need all these. However, the phaser really sounds nice. Another phaser, let me just go back to the original. All right, let me just move over to the bass right now, and we'll hear how the phaser sounds. I use lots of different phaser pedals on bass. Wrong one. Let's get the bass going. This is a Rob Allen Deep 4 fretless bass, tape wound strings. Again, another slow speed, but different modulation model. Let me just demonstrate some of the factory presets with the bass. Let's go down here. Actually, let me go through here so you can see the different changes with the knobs. Given this phaser is so deep, I find it a lot easier to kind of go through, find a patch that's close to what you want, and then kind of take it from there. You can tell I do like a slow phaser. In the parameters, this is where you can really start changing. I find this bit more usable than the range modulation, only because I can just hear the difference and kind of go through the sound that way. Again, I'm using it because it's there. If these advanced parameter controls were not there, I wouldn't miss it at all. Again, I think it's a really, really good sounding phaser. And even though, I'm getting that Small Stone vibe, it's still kind of just, the sound is so good, it just reminds me more of a rack mount. Just mess around with some of these controls so you can hear some changes here. Again, so you can use an LFO to overdrive the oscillators. Can't really hear it that well, but so I hope this just gives you a little bit of a flavor for what RealPhase is capable of. I wish these were actually enabled and worked. I mean, a 4-stage, I would assume that's a MXR type. The late 70s, early 80s. Ibanez, maybe, phaser. I'm just shooting in the dark here. Actually, I would love to see a library here with multiple phaser models for each of those time periods, and hopefully that stuff is coming. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, the price, $14.99, a little kind of, I'm not sure people are spending that on a phaser app, given that there's a lot of other apps out there that are cheaper, less expensive. However, I don't think any of them go to the depth of this. If you're really into phasers and you really want to sculpt your sound, I think it's worth it. Again, if there were more models, I'd be even more apt to say, yeah. It could be a position where they charge two prices, have the advanced features locked and the additional models locked, offer it for a lower price, and then you can unlock the additional models and some of the capabilities. Just go through a few more sounds here on the fade out. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.